The most interesting work in fine art and a newly discovered Van Gogh? An extraordinary claim, I agree. In this introductory video, I show how new research shows a work with astonishing links to Van Gogh, and the impossibility of it being by any other artist. So what is the chance of that? When several unusual characteristics, individual to a specific artist, are found in one painting, it is an indication of its originator. Nothing new. Those traits combine to create the style which we recognise. Ah, that's by so-and-so. But what if we look closely at a work and it has all those unusual characteristics, but we don't, at least on the first impression, recognise it as originating from the hand of that artist? It's a contradiction. We have all the characteristics, the logic if you like, but our eye, instinct, gut feeling says no. It may even enrage us to associate that work with a particular artist. You have been warned. We have an atypical work. Not surprisingly, mental illness occasions atypical works which may be difficult to attribute. But what if the mental aberrations portrayed in a work exactly express the artist's torments, identifiable by the motives he used? Then we would have all the stylistic and studio practice characteristics habitually employed, coupled with the influence of personal torments suffered by that artist, which are also identifiable. We just have to look at the work in a different way. Van Gogh suffered severe mental psychosis while at the asylum in St Remy. In his letters, Vincent writes of hallucinations, religious doubts and nightmares. And these torments are portrayed in the Death of the Virgin, possibly the strangest, oddest, weird work you may have seen. Remember, this was painted during periods of intense mental aberration. It doesn't look like a Van Gogh until we take a closer look. Ignore first impressions. Despite his illness, the work reveals Van Gogh's innovative genius in a picture which is, I suggest, the most interesting in fine art. Perhaps the most off-putting motive in this work is the depiction of the Virgin, a bearded woman wearing an attire. Some may even use it as a strong reason to dismiss the work. They would be so wrong. Unbelievably, this very strange depiction actually ties the work to Van Gogh. Some of you may have noticed the unlit candle, the John gesture, and the Materia Medica placed on top of the Bible. What are these motives doing in the Death of the Virgin, a Bible story of the apostles gathered around the dying Virgin Mary, consulting religious works for her salvation? The artist has subverted this story. We now have an expressionist work revealing the religious doubts and torments of the artist. Now we have a comparison. Still Life with Drawing Board and Onions is an innovative expressionist work. It is portraying Vincent's desire to be healthy. It is unique with the use of clear, repeated motives, and similarly with the Death of the Virgin, uses clear, repeated motives to portray his religious doubts and torments, and we will see how these motives connect to Van Gogh. Simply, we will see the chances of any other artist painting the Death of the Virgin are infinitesimal. Not only do we have all the characteristics, the clear association with Van Gogh's torments, but new research shows in the Death of the Virgin the identical thought process uniquely employed by Van Gogh in some of his major works. You will see that there are only two possible options. The work is by Van Gogh or a fake. Of course, an atypical work being a fake or forgery is an oxymoron, but there are still those, after being unable to argue the undoubted connections with Van Gogh, suggest it is a fake. We will easily debunk that one. In this video, we will quickly look at uncommon characteristics that appear in the Death of the Virgin that are identifiable as inimical to Van Gogh. There are a huge quantity, but for brevity we will scroll through some you may find interesting. You may access my full research via the link on the YouTube introductory page. Now here we see the trademarked hooked, or flicked as the Van Gogh Museum calls them, brushstrokes, often arranged in tight parallel rows. Rhythmic parallel brushstrokes pointing to the central motive. Vincent liked using a central composition rather than the accepted rule of thirds. And this shows Vincent's strong use of diagonals. This is an unusual habit of filling in the background around the motives. Art teaching, and most artists, always paint the background first, it's normal procedure. Vincent sometimes traced thin blue outlines for his motives. He did not concern himself that they were still visible when the work was completed. Now Vincent is famous for these dark outlines, and they look black. But here we see, by the FE, iron reading, that they are in fact Prussian blue, which is very, very unusual. The use of Prussian blue for dark outlines is extremely rare in fine art. And these polka dots are formed by two brushstrokes. Now the Death of the Virgin is thinned oil on thin paper without a ground, which is extremely unusual for this size of work, but exactly the same technique used in the raising of Lazarus, which was painted immediately after the Death of the Virgin. Now this placing of the materia medica on top of a Bible is a clear motive. The new volume relegates the Bible. Exactly the same relegation of a Bible is found in Still Life with Bible. This juxtaposition of books is unique to Van Gogh. So what are the chances of all these characteristics, some unique, some very rare, all being in one painting? Statistically infinitesimal, unless, of course, the work is by Van Gogh. And we have only so far touched the surface. In my next video, we see how the Death of the Virgin connects to Van Gogh. It gets very interesting. Thank you for watching.